Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing something new. And so what I wanted to focus on was I am going to be learning TypeScript in the future. And this is actually my first day of learning TypeScript, and I watched a couple intro videos on it. But essentially what I would like to do is do the LeetCode Blend 75 in TypeScript just to get a better feel for it. But what I also want to do, what I noticed from LeetCode, is the TypeScript compiler in LeetCode isn't super strict. So there are a lot of things that a good program shouldn't be allowed to do and should give you errors, but LeetCode does not. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take the LeetCode problems, I'm going to write them in a more strict VS Code environment, and then I'm just going to paste them back in, and then we can really get the intricacies of TypeScript and also modify the TypeScript config just to learn how it works and what you would be doing on the job, like what fields you want on, how strict you want it to be, things like that. So this first video is just going to be a simple video on how to make a TypeScript config and a TypeScript file that we are going to be using for all of our problems in the Blend 75. So it's like an intro video. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is whatever you want to be using, we're going to just make a directory. So we can just say make dir, we can call this LeetCode TS or something maybe. Okay, and then we're going to see if it's there, and it is there. So we're going to navigate to that. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to initialize a node project. So the way to do that is you can just do npm init -y. Okay, and so it'll just make a basic node project with a basic package JSON. And then we want to install TypeScript, so we can do npm install TypeScript. And we're going to install as a dev dependency. Now you could install it normally, but we're going to install it as a dev dependency. There's two ways to do this. You could write save dev, or I believe this works as well. So if you do npm -d, this works as well, I think. Okay, there we go. And now we want to create a TypeScript configuration file, which we will be using to modify how strict TypeScript is, what we're going to allow, what we're not going to allow. And that's what we're going to be working with. So in order to do that, you need to do npx TypeScript, and then you need to do init. And this will just give you a default file with default settings. Okay. And now we want to also, so now we actually want to go into this directory. So let's actually do that. So let's actually pull up this code. And here we are. And here it is. So let's take a look what we have. So we have a package lock, and we have a package JSON. And so it made this test folder. And then we have this TypeScript config, and it tells you what all of these things do. So right now, most of these things are off, but you're going to want to turn a lot of these things on in the future. And we'll get into that in further videos, what you're going to want to turn on, what we're going to try, and things like that. And also I need to, so right now we just have this strict type checking, but there are a lot of other things, and it tells you what, it's kind of nice because it has the comments for all these things. So like for something like this, enable error reporting when local variables aren't read, right? We'd probably want to have something like that on, so let's just turn that on now. Let's look at a few of these, but for most of them, we're just going to leave it as is. Raise an error when a function parameter isn't read. Yeah, so maybe we want to do that, right? If we're not using it, that seems pretty good. Okay, enable error reporting for code paths that do not return a function. That sounds pretty good, right? Because JavaScript implicitly returns undefined. Maybe we don't want that. Enable error reporting through fall-through cases. That sounds pretty good. Add undefined to a type when accessed from an index. No check undefined access. Maybe that's a pretty good idea. No implicit type override. Maybe we can leave that. Enforce index accessors. Okay, disable error reporting for unused labels, unreachable code. I think we don't want to allow unreachable code or unused labels. I don't think that's great. Enable error checking for expressions and declarations when applied any type. Let's leave that. When type checking, take into account null and undefined. Yeah, I think we want to do that. When assigning functions, ensure parameters and return types are subtype compatible. Not exactly sure what that does, so let's leave that. Let's leave that. No implicit this. Okay. Always strict. Yeah, so not too sure what a lot of these are for now, but we're just going to leave it just like this. I think we turned on some of these that look pretty reasonable. You can turn on whatever you want. So the strict is the most important ones. This is the strict type checking option, which is going to be good. Okay. think this might actually like enable all these for sure, but I'm not entirely sure, but whatever. Okay, so I just wanted to give you like the basics. So now we have this package, and we have this, and then we have the node modules, which is our TypeScript and our bin. So what other things do we need to do? So we actually need to make a TypeScript file, right? So let's make a TypeScript file, and we'll just call that like LeetCode problems.ts, maybe, something like that. Okay. And so now we actually need to modify this script. So right now the script, the way it works is if you run npm test, it will do this, right? So if you actually go here and you run npm test, it basically does nothing, right? So it'll run this, but we don't want to run tests. We want to actually have an npm start. So we're going to put in a start here. And what do we want to do? So first, what we want to do is we actually want to convert this LeetCode problems file to JavaScript. So the way we're going to do that is call this TypeScript compiler. And then we want to run the JavaScript file. And I think the way it gets converted is they're same name, but JavaScript. So let's just, I think we could do like LeetCode problems.javascript. And let's see, we can test that out though. So let's just say like console log hello world. See what happens when we actually do npm. And we can actually even open up a terminal here. So we can just do npm start, see what happens. Okay, LeetCode problems.js is not found. Okay. So here it is. So I think we may have just wrote it incorrectly. So let's just double check this package JSON. So it is there, but what do we do wrong? Oh, right. So we actually need to run this with node. So you need to do node, right? Like the way you would test the way you would run a file would just be node or something. I think you can even run that in here, but let's I think if you actually do node, this actually does work like this command LeetCode. This is how you would run like one file. Yeah. So essentially what this will do is this will run the TypeScript compiler. It will compile our TypeScript down to JavaScript, as you can see it did, and it made it strict, and then it will show hello world. And the nice thing about this is we can see when we write a TypeScript for whatever problems we're doing in the future, what the JavaScript looks like under the hood, and then like we can really get a good feel for it. And also we're going to be modifying this TypeScript compiler as I get a little bit more comfortable with it, just to like, and we can see like, you know, we're going to essentially try to break all of our code. So if we have, you know, like a hash map that only takes integers, we're just going to try to pass it like random stuff and see if it's actually giving us errors to make sure we actually have the strict error checking. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So we've kind of set up our TypeScript config. We've set up our TypeScript file where we are going to be writing our LeetCode problems. Essentially, we're going to be copy pasting the LeetCode prompt into here, and then we are going to be running it and trying to break it. Because, like I said, in the LeetCode problem itself, I don't think it's very strict. So it'll let you do stuff that TypeScript probably shouldn't let you do. Because with this compiler, technically, you got to remember that TypeScript is pretty much like JavaScript. So if you just turn everything off, then TypeScript will be basic JavaScript. It'll be literally the exact same thing. But the whole point and the whole benefit of TypeScript is to enable strict error checking and to make sure that we aren't actually giving it things that it's not supposed to do. Okay. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So if you did like it, please like the video. And I will be posting a lot more of TypeScript videos in the future. And we're just going to be doing the blind 75 in a playlist, one video at a time. I'll talk about the problems briefly. And then we will be focusing more on the TypeScript part of the problems. But I will also go over the algorithms and things like that. So that's going to be it for this one. And thanks for watching.